Check, check.
Check.
Palaka, palaka.
Check. Check, check.
Next song we do is Holly Guys. They call themselves the Hawaiian Style Band. We recorded this song goes like this. From the powers that lead, our island nation has got to be free. Oh, living in a sovereign land. Island people come together as one for future generations under the sun, singing songs of freedom, singing songs of love. Living in a sovereign land, our children deserve to know what went down 100 years ago. You can be the man, you can take the land, but you can't take the truth away. Living in a sovereign land.
Aloha, kakahiaka kākou e nā poe aloha aina, e nā poe o ko Hawaii pai aina. Welcome to the Darkside of Hawaiian Politics, Hawaiian Kingdom News, 7 days in 1 hour. Aloha e mano kalani po. Aloha e Maui nui a ke e aumoku. Aloha e Hawaii a kai ana ahu ula. Aloha e Molokai nui a hina. Eia no mako, 127 years of injustice, racism, discrimination equals genocide in the Hawaiian Kingdom on the Hawaiian people. Now to the national crisis with the Anila.
Aloha kako, weather for Moko Keawe this week. North highs today, starting off highs 83, low 79. Down east, your highs today in Hilo, One is 85 high, your low is 80. Out in South Puna, highs 80, low 77, and your high today is your west side at 90 degrees high and your 80 degrees low. For your surf weather report from Moko Keawe, north, you got a small 3 to 4 occasionally. Down east, 0 to 1. South, you got a 1 to 2. And your west, a 1 to 2. Enjoy your beautiful weather today. Remember, be safe and enjoy the picnics that you can have with your family. And remember, if you guys have a chance to go over Mauna Kea, go ahead and stop by, say aloha to the ohana for continuously watching our Mauna and giving us updates. DJ Derbs, Mana Olelo of the week.
Aloha kākou. So when you search in Puke Vehe Vehe Olelo Hawaii, the famous word around America, the entire globe, is injustice. Mm-hmm. So injustice translates to kaulike ole, polole ole, hana pono ole, and Hana Pa Ewa Ewa. So when I go to consult Tutu Papa Kilo database, I was amazed to only find 2 hits for Kaulike Ole in the database. And then I look up Polole Ole, I only see another 2 hits. So when I see this small number of hits in our Tutu dialogue, conversation in the Hawaiian newspapers of 1 million articles, I have to question, why so little hits on these words? And then I type in Hana Pa Ewa Ewa, and guess how much I get? 251. So right off the bat, when I compare the number of hits with all of these words, some of these words I think are post-colonization words. Post-colonized Hawaiian language mine words. Instead of consulting Tutu Papa Kilo database, 1 million newspaper searches with 251 hits. So February 9th, 1892 in Kaleo Okalahui, there's an article that's titled He Hana Pa Ewa Ewa. So, He Hana Pa Ewa Ewa. Ina he oia i'o na lono I pua I ia mai ka lehelehe mai o ke kahi mea kūpono I ke koho ali'i o ka apana o Ewa a me wai anai. E pili ana I ka hana pa Ewa Ewa. Elections are happening. So when you choose your candidate, you must choose for correcting the 127 years of injustice.
Ayo.
127 years of racism, 127 years of discrimination, 127 years of crimes not being addressed or known needs to be resolved because they're equal to genocide. So, injustice, kako. He hana pa ewa ewa ke la.
DJ Derbs, Manaolelo, Saturday, June 6th. Aloha kako, and mahalo for allowing us to tune in and share this hour with you guys for our breaking news, usually every week, that we like to bring to you guys. And without further ado, thank you for the Manaolelo. Think about it, kako, injustice. Injustice equals genocide. So if those people running out there, like DJ Derb said, are truly in your interest, then we should be hearing the injustice delayed is justice denied. So, once again, injustice, everybody, that should be the Manaolelo for our community, our homes, every day, until this occupation is addressed and the injustice has remedy. This week, for the Smash or Pass, DJ Derbs. First up for our community to smash or pass, we got...
Unbelievable. It seems like Jurassic Park is happening all over again. These ancient dinosaurs, like Mufi Hanneman, who initiated the fraud and corruption of the rail program, is coming out of his ancient historical egg, like a dinosaur. So we got to tell these scientists that do this GMO, that do these integrations of desecration, that we don't want these dinosaurs to come out to proclaim themselves as mayor candidates to continue the fraud and corruption that has been happening for 127 years. So that needs to end, kako. So I just got to smash the dinosaur. We need some new blood in there. Stop the corruption, stop the discrimination, stop the racism on Hawaiians. You heard me. Everybody heard me. Yeah? Let's stop the crimes on Hawaiians now.
Yes. KP.
All right.
Cornerstone.
As you can see, the so-called dinosaurs coming out, it's like, it's because of the 127 years of occupation, and it's like the old boys network. They want to come back out and run business as usual. But we cannot, and we will not, let these people come back and continue their illegalities. So we gotta push back. We have to actually voice our concerns, and this is unacceptable because there's, if the dinosaurs get reelected, we're gonna have the same corruption happening, over and over again, like the failed rail, and in other attempts of injustice to the Hawaiian population. So you can also look and reflect about when we was up at the Mauna injustice. So we need to actually voice our concerns. And for Mufi, Banana Hannah, I give you a smash.
The Cornerstone KP. Yes, Kako. So the fossil fuels have continued to show itself, and the rail from the hands of Mufi Banana Hands continues to desecrate our land and to push this. You guys know Mufi Banana Hands and the long history that the ties he has to the state of Hawaii and the continuance of the neglect of our Hawaiian national rights over our national lands and our historical national treasures. And these people have been part of this corruption for far too long, like the Cornerstone said. So, without further ado, Banana Hands does not get a pass from Moko Keave and the beneficiaries they have failed to continuously support during this time of pandemic. They can't afford to put us in homes. They can't afford to offset our educational debt. This is another fraud. And just like our uncle says, you got to call them out when you see them. And these guys are crooks. Next up on the chopping block, DJ Derbs, we got
why you have a higher electric bill. So some of you, hundreds of thousands of you, was surprised why your electric bill went through the roof recently. And that is because of the 127 years of corruption that leads to monopoly, which tries to extort everybody through energy resources instead of just getting everyone a few solar panels for their roof, Kako. Yes. So really, this is just another corrupt extortion through using energy when we do have sun all year round to power our energy needs. So I just gotta smash the sneakiness and 127 years of injustice. We need to correct that now.
Right. Cornerstone, what do you think about your electricity bill this past month?
I'm sorry, but I don't have an electric bill because I'm on solar. But anyway, this is continued corruption within the occupied state, and the electric companies are actually holding our people hostage. It's because if you don't pay your bills, they cut you off. So simply, I would actually, tell our people out there, if you can, convert over to solar power.
Yes.
I'm an advocate of solar power. I build electric vehicles. I also build solar packs, and it's really amazing because this is a form of independence from the government. Because if you're on the utility companies billing situation, like I say, they're just gonna raise the rates as they please, and you are you're held hostage and you have to pay that bill. So you have to be independent and go to alternative energy like solar. And but I give the utilities, the companies, and also the fake state of Hawaii a smash. for all this sneakiness of actually raising rates, electric rates, so it's unacceptable.
So, Kako, once again, we have, we have many complaints out of Moko Keawe where bills were doubling in sizes. And the answer our Ohanas were getting were you are at home. But the return answer from our kupuna was, yeah, we're at home, but we're not watching TV. We're out in our yards. We're out maintaining our gardens, our fruits, our animals, fixing up our homes. And these things should not have excessive amounts of over. When you guys have a chance, go ahead and go check out KHON2 and their little short snippet, because I just wanted to bring this out to light to you for people who live up on Moko Keawe. As we know, they rarely get out their car. We've been getting many of these issues throughout numerous of years where they're scared of our dogs, so they claim that they can't see our meter. So they upgraded their equipment to have binoculars, so they could, from their car, see our meters. But now we have exposed that they're not even looking at their binoculars.
Right.
So this is a trending thing I see with the government right now, where your dentist wants to surcharge you, but they qualified for their COVID, whether they denied it or not. You see these surcharges of a ridiculous amount. Then when you go to the restaurant, they want to charge you an extra 18 to 20, which gratitude is what it is. But in a time where you can't pay for it, these things are just implemented.
Right.
And people has been seeing a lot of more of these patterns occurring. And this is just like none other. Every week we will be bringing to you guys and continuing to smash on all of these funny little, not funny, I want to say this extortion demands that while we're all going through this pandemic, our electric, our water, our main source of health line or necessity should be honored, should be reduced, and should never exceed in a time of pandemic where people don't have jobs to fulfill a 200% increase upon their water. So it's a simple smash from KP, DJ Derbs. Next up on the chopping block, DJ Derbs.
Hawaii Tribune Herald. PUC opens emergency investigation of young brothers.
There it is.
So to all my family and friends out there watching the dark side of Hawaiian politics and Hawaiian Kingdom news, don't you remember last week when we shared about the request of the 25 million, the response of Senator Inoue that approved the 25 million through the news, and then when we questioned its
Shine the light on the gaslight.
Shine the light on the gaslight, Kako.
Yes.
We have a Public Utilities Commission opens up emergency investigation of young brothers. So I just want to say mahalo, Kako, all you
Pressure.
Kanaka community out there. We need to call out the injustice every single day, because 127 years of injustice continues. So mahalo to the PUC for hearing us about the young brothers' possibly corrupt actions. Now we need to apply the rule of law to the Hawaiian Kingdom to move forward. So pass to the PUC, but we still need to be heard.
Yes. KP.
Well, actions like this, when we push back and we raise the questions, is very good because we have positive results. And if you look at Young Brothers, they also own Aloha Airlines cargo.
Oh, there it is.
So
KP.
that's it's also
There it is.
a monopoly.
There it is.
And it's a continued corruption, and we need to expose these kinds of corruption in the Hawaiian Islands. So it doesn't matter if you're Kanaka or not. If you try to do any corrupt moves, we're gonna shine the gas lantern on you.
Oh.
So for the PUC, I give you a pass, and for the Old Boys Network running in Hawaii, I give you a smash.
KP, you said it correct. Aloha Airlines. And just so happens, correct me if I'm wrong, KP, did they qualify for some of the relief too from the
Right,
COVID?
exactly.
So there you go, Kako. They own the monopoly on our flights. They received some of their COVID assistance. And then we have this trend where the bosses of this multi-billion-dollar industry wants to claim that they don't. Well, I think we should look at the pensions of the higher up. And for all the Kanakas that work there, I think we should split that pension from the higher up and put it down in the mala where the rest of the Kanakas is at. Because that is where I believe if there's any money that should be distributed, it should be distributed to the Kanaka workers at those barges, at those harbors, and it should be put into the right hands of families that are needed, not for the higher echelons of the company and for the PCU to respond. It ain't because of us, Kako. It's because of you guys also continuing to speak up when we smell, when we see smoke. We gotta say, is there a fire?
Right.
Because you cannot have smoke without a fire. And that's what KP has shined the light on too. This is part of Aloha Airlines too.
Right.
Aloha Airlines. So these guys have a monopoly on the flight. They have a monopoly on our barges. So they can basically hold us hostage while they play extortion games with each other
Yes.
during a time of pandemic. And for that, it's like KP said, we cannot allow these things to happen. Let all these monopolies run rampant on our national lands and treat us, our national subjects, as if we're third-class citizens in our nation.
Right.
And
Yes.
that is a smash for the fake state that continues to allow these things to happen and try to mislead our community to think that we're going after our workers when we're not. We're going after the upper echelons, those who have the $100,000 salaries that do nothing but slave out our Kanaka on our barges. KP, next up, we have got our South Pacific Island News COVID update and South Pacific current news.
All right, aloha. I have the latest COVID-19 data from the South Pacific for this Saturday. And it looks really great except for one country. So I'm going to start with Aotearoa. So there have been stabilized at 1,504 cases. So this number has been stabilized for the past 8 days. So it's really, really good news for our brothers and sisters in Aotearoa. As we go on to American Samoa, they have 0 cases, from the very start because of their strict rules of actually people being flown into American Samoa. And so they have been stabilized, throughout this crisis. As we go on to the Cook Islands, they also have 0 cases. As we go to Guam, Guam has been stabilized at the number of 151 cases due to the American installations in Guam. So that's the reason why you have a high number of 151 cases in Guam. As we go on to Fiji, they have been consistent with the number of just 18 cases. So this is really good news for the people of Fiji. As we go on to the Hawaiian Kingdom, the U.S. occupied state for 127 years, we have a total of 664. So instead of actually having flattened the curve, it's not it's like it's rising. So that's a major concern, and mainly due to having people flying into our occupied state. We have military installations here, and it's unacceptable with their of letting military personnel coming into Hawaii, and they are waived from actually the 14-day quarantine, and also their family members who are actually flying in to live in the occupied state. They also, they're being waived. They don't have to do the required 14-day quarantine. So that raises the question, it's like continued genocide on our population. As we move on to the Kingdom of Tonga, they have 0 cases. Kiribati, they have 0 cases. Marshall Islands, 0 cases. Micronesia, 0 cases. Nauru, 0 cases. And as we go on to New Caledonia, they have been stabilized for over a month with just 18 cases. Niue is just no cases at all, just 0 cases throughout the time of the pandemic. So that's very, very good. As we go on to Northern Mariana, they have stabilized at just 14 cases of COVID-19. Palau, they have 0 cases. Papua New Guinea, just 8 cases, and they have been stabilized with that numbers for almost 2 months now. As we move on to the Solomon Islands, they have 0 cases. Samoa, 0 cases. Tahiti, they have been stabilized for a month with just 60 cases of COVID-19. As we look to Tokelau, they have 0 cases, and finally, Tuvalu, they have 0 cases. So the major concern right now in the Pacific Triangle is Hawaii, as the number is rising. Instead of actually going down, it's going up. So that's a major concern, and it's all due to the occupation in Hawaii and the military, the presence, Okay, so that's the COVID-19 update in the South Pacific. As I move on to the news from Radio New Zealand, they had taken local COVID-19 tests among the people in the Solomon Islands, and the result was all negative. So that's really good news, as the Prime Minister actually announced this this story in a national address on Friday in the Solomon Islands. Okay. All right. And then in other news, we have also from Radio New Zealand, is that the Cook Island Games will reboot, billed as a chance to develop local athletes. So it's really good in the Cook Islands as they try to restore their sports and activities in there to boost the domestic economy, and also help the athletes in the country. So this is actually the news of the South Pacific.
Thank you, KP. Saturday, June 6th, your South Pacific Kingdom news, COVID-19 updates, stats, and political community current events. Thank you, Cornerstone, for always committing to bring that data forward. Next week, we wanted to dip into a little bit more of the stats for the COVID, because you've been tracking it for the last 3 months or so.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think now that we have a little bit more information coming out from out sources, I think next week we're going to try to look for some more research and data, and we're going to try to give some clearer totals, or we're going to try to look at some data next week where there could have been some undercounting and some overcounting.
Yes, that's correct.
But,
Especially, in Hawaii.
Yes.
Yes.
So thank you once again, KP. Next week, if you guys come back, we'll get into more depth with some of the status that has been coming around in your international community and your local community. And we want to kind of hear what is your reflection and what's your input, or what is your data that you guys have been reading. Because just like how KP is showing, there has been seeming to see curves, but a lot of these information could possibly be undercounted or overcounted.
Right.
But next week, stay tuned. And then KP, the Cornerstone, will go over some more data and updates for COVID and our South Pacific news. And to wrap it up this week, for our Smash or Pass, we got a couple more. DJ Derbs, next up on the list.
Star Advertiser, Saturday, June 6, 2020. Column for HPD, Others, Openness to Criticism, Good for Government. So mahalo, Loretta Sheehan, for being the Honolulu attorney who served on the Honolulu Police Commission the past 4 years, because she just resigned for supporting our program, Hawaiian Kingdom News, Darkside of Hawaiian Politics. Because the openness and criticism for government is needed to keep government officials and police officers and DLNR enforcement officers and sheriffs all accountable for the continuing crimes, racism, systemic discrimination, genocide, evictions. So mahalo, Loretta, for following the wave that's taking the globe across America. 127 years of injustice continuing in the Hawaiian Kingdom, which amounts to genocide. So I just gotta give this Honolulu attorney a big fat pass for recognizing the need for Hawaiian Kingdom News and the dark side of Hawaiian politics to continue on in perpetuity. And I encourage all of you to open up your own stations and news to do the same and report from your island. Kako.
Yes.
KP.
Well, I would like to actually give a shout out to this attorney for her attempts to keep everything open, honest, and also to to shine the gas lantern on injustice in Hawaii. For 127 years, from day one of the occupation. We need to have major concerns with the fake state government as they try to block openness in the Hawaiian Islands. So we need people to push back and also voice their concerns. So I give this the attorney a big pass.
Kako. This is a heroic story. Basically, the openness and these clarity, I'm thinking she's referring somewhat to the Sunshine Law when she's noticing that this, even though we have the beautifulest sun, there is no sunshine that can come in through separate policies. And so just like many other people that we're going to go over throughout the week that have retired or stepped down from their official capacity, Loretta, these jobs that now that you are seeing with the police corruption, with the Kealoha case, which is the astronomical peak, she even got to witness DLNR fishing on business time, leaving on their tracking device in a different area in their car while they were out fishing and doing other extracurricular activities, until the government can put on body cams so we can have transparency when they victimize our nationals or even foreigners. It's always he said, she said. Well, it wouldn't be that way if accountability was held accountable, where people would, just like other states, have cameras where we can watch the internal discussions and dialogue before somebody gets shot, before somebody gets violated, before somebody's car gets broken into. I think this is what she means by openness and critique to this government issues. Hawaii is one of the only few states where an officer that can break the law and not have their files be of public information,
Yes.
public disclosures. And we've seen this pattern throughout our history, ever since the Admissions Act, that how people could not get information about police officers who were brutally beating people, doing illegal activities, selling drugs, smuggling drugs into a prison, whatever you have be. We could not even get a single report of their traffic violations. And so this Loretta has stepped up and said, hey, I'm reviewing, I am seeing, I cannot report, I have a muzzle over my mouth. And so she has no other choice but to tap into her motherly instinct and walk away from this criminal activity that is being conducted. Look at her face, Kako. It says it all. And for that face is the awakening face. I got to give that face a pass. That's concern, that's frustrated, and hopelessness. That face right there, Kako, is hopelessness.
Right.
Something that we know
Yes.
and we experience. But to come from these Honolulu attorney speaking and shining the light on the shining the gaslight on the issue, we need more of this kind of personality in the world of injustice that we live in.
Like for her, she's a straight shooter. She believes in the rule of law, and throughout her time, as she see all this corruption, she cannot actually stand it anymore. It's the reason why she resigned, because you have people like this who's honest, and they believe in the system. And when the system fails, there's no other remedy except to actually resign and share their frustration.
I think Queen Liliuokalani was talking about these individuals. Oh, where are you,
Right.
Christians? Oh, where are you, those of truth and light? And here she is, Kako.
Yes.
Loretta.
Yeah.
Loretta is one of the few that our queen was talking about. O ye of great faith, those who follow the Lord may always protect the weak.
Yes.
And Loretta has stood up against the fake state of Hawaii. Thank you, Loretta. From Moko Keawe to your Ohana, we wish you the best. Next up, DJ Derbs, before we wrap it up.
Star Advertiser, Saturday, June 6, 2020. Late breaking news. Oahu Community Correctional Center. Officer charged with smuggling drugs into prison. This is hilarious, Kako. I want to do the hokey pokey from head to toe, Kako. The corruption is head to toe. From the top to the bottom, in between right and left. How can these injustices, 127 years, this is what we're looking at, Kako. The fallout of 127 years of corruption, and people can't even help themselves by actually helping themselves make more money in ways that is not honest or truthful or helps our community. Some of them get locked up so that they can stay away from the drugs,
Right.
so that they can stay away from the ailments of a sick society.
Yes.
But yet, they always find a way to continue injustices. I give them a pass for calling this continued injustice and corruption by feeding Hawaiian people drugs, because most of the prisons are full with Hawaiian. So
There's a
I
majority.
gotta give you another pass, but we gotta stop this drug epidemic that's been here for far too long. Pass.
KP.
All right. As you look at this situation of the drug bust, it's the ongoing corruption, and as people living in Hawaii, they're looking at the government and said, "Oh, well, this government is corrupt. So why should I follow law? And I can make money in the prison by providing people what they need, and at the end of the day." This person is going to be also locked up for selling drugs. But this is an epidemic also in the prison due to corruption, and we need to address that issue, and we need to stop this ongoing smuggling of illegal contrabands in the prison. So for me, I give the state of Hawaii, the fake state, a smash for the continued practice of corruption.
So, Kako, back to Moko Ke Ave. This topic right here, Oahu Correctional Officer, right, in Oahu. So have you ever had family members that have been incarcerated like us? I'm pretty sure you have. Have they ever turned up with dirty shishi tests while in prison? I, myself, with family members, have witnessed this. And I've always wondered, how did they come home with a shishi test dirty, staying with our family, didn't do no dope? Because it was already in the facility, Kako. So the conspiracy to fraudulently give our family members the drugs, and when they come out to visitate and give them the urine sample when they come back in, it's already dirty because they came out dirty, Kako. They came out dirty, and that's the moral of the story. Big Island, we have a similar issue. We have a corrections officer by the name of Espero from Kau, where he gets caught with paraphernalias, and he basically works in the correction facility up on Mokoke Ave. And then this is the kind of things that they didn't start this, they didn't develop this. They were trained. They watch individuals smuggle these things in. These are older people. These are not younger teenagers catching a kick. These guys are doing it for the profit and getting our families into deeper trouble. Man, this is such a horrific story that it keeps on popping up. And we, as a community, have to continuously expose this because we know a lot of bad things happen in our correction facilities, but we don't really get to see or catch wind of it until they get caught. Yes. And so just like all of these politicians throughout Mokokeave and out through the state that have been getting busted, our politicians with drugs, our Kealoha with their fraud, our prosecutor with fraudulently doing documents, Judge Ricky Miyamano, Ige's cousin giving away the free Mauna Kea crown lands. This is out of control, Kako. This cannot and should not, and we should not accept this in our community. And for that is a smash. For we cannot support our local officers, correction officers, continue. This is a trending thing. This is not, I'm pretty sure, the first one to have been getting caught bringing these into our community jails. Is just unspeakable damage that they're doing to our system and to our family members. And last up on the smash or pass, we always have to do our current up-to-date news. And we got, for the last one, or one of the last ones, DJ Derbs.
127 years of injustice, not only in the police, legal system, but also in the ocean. Here's the headlines, Tribune Herald. Man fined in West Hawaii, fish poaching case. So this guy gets, he takes...
Gets busted.
Hundreds of butterflies fish, which can be sold
what is the
for
number?
hundreds of dollars, about 200. And then...
Could be more, could be more, could be more.
So in one scoop, you can make upwards to between 100 and 200,000 with just one run, one day run.
One run.
One run. And then he gets fined. Mahalo for the fine. But guess how much the fine is, Kako? $260.
260 lapchong?
Would you pay for that much lapchong when you can buy one house in one run, Kako?
Right.
Of course I'm buying that lapchong.
Yeah. Oh,
So when you look at how, I don't know the word to describe it. It's in the ocean, Kako. It moved from the land to the ocean. So that's what our kupuna said. What you do on the land happens in the ocean.
Right.
Yeah.
So injustice for our fishes, injustice for our coral, injustice for our sustainable food in the ocean, because there's injustice on the land. Let's root out the injustice, Kako. I gotta give this article a pass for revealing how cheap the lapchong is.
Right.
When you can get one house at the same time.
Right.
KP, Cornerstone.
Okay, if you look at this whole situation, it all always go back to the illegal occupation of 127 years, and it's the ongoing corruption within also government. So this character goes into the ocean, catching fish, and at the end of the day, he get fined $200. But what is his profit? $200 is nothing compared to $200,000. So this is an ongoing corruption scheme by the state of Hawaii. It's like they're giving you brownie points. At the end of the day, it's like, oh, okay, you went out there, you caught, you got caught, but at the end of the day, you pay us pennies, and in return, you can keep everything else.
Yes, Kako. KP is a simple smash for...
Yes. No, you know what it is? On triple smash.
It's triple smash. So let me share a little context of my mana'o, of what our family goes through. So on the west hand side, prior to Bill Amalaya getting appointed to chair of Hawaiian Homelands, he was the DLNR main guy. Well, if you go down to the harbor, you see all of these unpermitted illegal structures all around the harbor. You see this unpermitted welding shop on the right-hand side by the ramp that I'm pretty sure doesn't have a permit. And they want to evict these things. I see a pattern here. Bill Amalaya is an avid fish collector. As a DLNR chair, which I believe was a conflict of interest. So I know that they ruled upon, or they soon to be, about the illegal fishing collection aquarium. Well, these guys, I'm pretty sure this guy has to be Isla's partner, because these guys have a commonality trait. These guys take our natural resources, sells it for an overwhelming amount of profit, and you get $260 of lapchong penalty. This is unspeakable public trust violations. These resources are meant to be protected, but we cannot get it protected because there's government officials and their friends and family members who allow these things to come in. So when you guys go and you say, oh, how does this guy get away with it? If you guys know, and I know like Honoka'a Harbor, there's no DLNR agent waiting there. There's nobody looking in to see what you got and what you took. They don't have no scaling of all these illegal structures around the harbor, which I believe is still part of the Hawaiian Homes Commission land survey, Honoka'a Harbor, and so forth. So that is the dark side that we wanted to talk about. These people who are doing it, they do have government official ties, family members, or friends. And if not, they are directly tied to Bill Amalaya, a commercial fish advocate who illegally stole fish and our natural resources and sells it for profit and not even being from Moku'oke'awe.
Right, but the bottom line is the resources is for our people. It's not for individuals just going out there and, making money, pure profit for their self-interest. Mm-hmm. That's the problem.
And that's where we get into this resource issue, because that's what we see up in Mauna Kea today, Kako.
Yes.
This is a breaking news. Today, we got word from our dear family members that they're going to be an eradication on Mauna Kea today, which is not held by helicopter, but they did already couple walk-ins. DLNR doesn't know about the hunt. DLNR claims there's a list which somehow forestry is able to go up to Kanakolu and eradicate our food and harvest it in the name of forestry. I believe in the Lorax.
It's not in the name of forestry. It's in the name of self-interest.
So, any gatherers out there, this information, sorry it was so late brought to you, but we had to make a correlation between the fishes off on our west end being slapped with only a $260 fine during this COVID emergency, and then up our Mauna, there is these issues with these people.
Right, because we all need to understand is that it's our natural resources. It's not for, selective individuals.
It's not for DLNR
Right.
to hand out. This is not for forestry to take the lead role in saying protection of the trees. We only have hundreds of thousands, if not, left in the world of our nation, our koko, our mokuauhau. So these people who continue to DLNR, this is for DLNR, Department of Natural Land and Resource Management. This is for you. The fish poaching. Our resource management on the Mauna. Today, the eradication of our pipi, our gift from Vancouver to the king for his heirs. We must stop it. We must put an end to it. And kako, if you guys see the corruption, you don't have to say nothing. All you got to do is press the record button and watch the show. And that's where we need everybody to kako, to shine the light. Because when we receive this information, this is really late-breaking information as we learn it. We don't know 2 weeks ahead of time. We don't know 2 days ahead of time. We know within the 24-hour or less range, because this is how organized the state of Hawaii is when they calculate meticulously to steal our national resources, our resources of food. And now you see, even when they catch these people with the fish, they have failed to prosecute justice. And for that being said, continuing smash on the DLNR for not protecting our natural resources, which they've learned from Bill Amalaya, and continuing to not keep the community updated with the public trust, especially the native Hawaiians and the Hawaiian Kingdom heirs of Ko'ova Ipai Aina. DJ Derbs, before we leave, we've got one more smash or pass community update of this week. Let's get it.
Mahalo to our ohana out in Maui Nui Kama,
Yes.
our uncle, Ke'eo Moku, pictured right here in kahiko form, teaching us about our history, our culture, our language, and our protocols, continuing to fight against the injustices that's happening. Here's Keomoku Kapu celebrating La Ku'oko'a, the Hawaiian Kingdom, first Hawaiian Kingdom national holiday that still continues with discrimination, because this current government is part of the government that took it away, stopped it, ended it. So recently, I don't know if you've been watching,
Just yesterday.
but just yesterday, an approved agency state of Hawaii agency program called the Kuleana Lands Act. Here's a video, you can get it, of him, May 17, 20. What is the legal process for reclaiming Kuleana lands with Keomoku Kapu? So a government agency supports Kuleana Land Act reclamation, but he gets attacked and extorted,
Violated. Live.
property damage
Yes.
of all of his gates for talking the truth through our private property program and the Kuleana Act. So I just gotta give my uncle Keomoku Kapu a big pass, and you gotta read up his story. He's a great man, so read up on his past and watch the video
Yes,
of the
watch.
attacks
Right.
on Hawaiians that's been happening for 127 years. That's the injustice I'm talking about, Kako, that we need to resolve immediately, Kako. Germany did it. in the Nuremberg, in the trials. A lot of countries goes through this process because of the egregious crimes, war crimes, human rights violations that they committed. And as you can see in this book, Kako, American genocide, it's all here also about the Americans committing genocide. But this is the neutral nation state of the Hawaiian Kingdom. So I got to give a pass, and please go look up Uncle Keomoku Kapu and his work on Kuleana lands, Kako.
KP.
I personally know Keomoku for many, many years. He's a solid Kanaka. So as this people attack him, they're also attacking us.
Yeah.
So we need to stand with him. We need to push back because, you have these people with the insurgent mentality as they go onto his property, trespassing, destroying 2 gates, and also having this so-called person, Kahu, from Kauai, throwing pakai all over the place. And, it's like he don't know what he's doing because he's just getting paid. He's getting paid to actually go against someone who's pono. And this guy has been brought in from Kauai, training pakai, and you look at him, it's like he's very uncomfortable what he's doing, and it all stems from the so-called landowner, which he's not even the landowner because Keomoku is actually the landowner, and we need to expose all of this corruption, continued corruption, and all these people just being bullies. And we need to stop. We need to film this, all of this stuff, and we need to push back against these people because these lands are our lands that we can reclaim. So I give Keomoku Kapu, my brother, pass.
Cornerstone said it best. So, Peter Martin, we finally got to see your face. Anakala Keomoku Kapu finally got to show the Lahui the faces, because just like a lot of these issues, Peter Martin and all of these fake state agencies, they will put the Kanaka, the fake kahus, the non-profits. This is a warning to all you false prophets out there who decide to work with the de facto government. There will be a day that you will run into a Kanaka who is overwhelmed by the PTSD of this injustice, who has no hope. And when you guys run into he or she or the youngers, you will be met with possibly a situation that you thought you had under control. Uncle Keomoku guys have won their case in court. My question is, where is Maui Police Department? Where is the Department of Justice of Hawaii, the Attorney General's office? This is trespassing. Peter Martin is a colonizer. Mr. Mano Kalani Po needs to go back home, because that's what usually hurts us, is when these crisis actors, these nonprofit tiers, these 503 nonprofit tiers show up with compliance with the colonizer at hand and think that they are just. And this is not the first time we've seen people get busted. This is quite the standard practice. They need another Kanaka to violate the next Kanaka. They need another Kanaka to tell the other Kanaka they don't have the process of protocol. They need to have a Kanaka to tell another Kanaka that they are not worthy of the genealogy. They need another Kanaka to tell another Kanaka that this is not their land. So this is the weapon of choice when you're talking about this colonization. It's to get a Kanaka, because like Peter Martin, where he hired the Tongan, who's a convicted drug dealer that should be deported back to Tonga, ripped apart the fence a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yes, with the excavator, yes.
Then slightly they come back again, then they cut it down. These are all felons. They work for the state agency. They work for this individual, Peter Martin. And this is where we have a clash of people cutting people's personal properties and putting families in danger. And I believe if it was nighttime, it would have altercated a little bit more, because it would have looked like a high arm robbery. But they're lucky they came in the middle of a beautiful day where they could be recognized, recorded, and identified. because these issues are going to lead to criminal investigations and possibly prosecutions. So once again, mahalo anakala. If you guys, sorry we couldn't get the video up, but go ahead, check out his Facebook, log in, follow up on the genocide and continuous injustice that the state, after recognizing his Kuleana rights, have failed to enforce his rights, his humanitarian rights and civil rights, plus his constitutional rights for his property and his family's inherent rights.
Right. So we need agencies like OHA to step up.
And file the charges against Peter Martin and their accomplices for continuing to do what they do on private property.
Right. So OHA needs to actually come into the light,
Yes.
not run into the cave in darkness and hide.
Yeah.
Because you are responsible. You're responsible for our people. So you need to step up to the plate, and defend our people.
Yes, because KP said it correct. Oha, we hold you responsible. You guys post out on your Facebook Kuleana exemptions. You guys preach Moku Au Hau. Keomoku is an extension of that research that Kamana'o and his team has brought to light accordance with Hawaiian Kingdom law and Hawaii revised statutes. So by you guys allowing and guiding this process or overlooking it has failed the Hawaiian Kingdom heirs and their Kuleana by putting them in direct cross-firing with large amount of money coming from their perpetrators who are multimillionaires who have unlimited amount of resources. They use Tongan ex-drug dealers to break down. They use a Hawaiian kahu from Maui. These are, from Manokalani Po. These guys have endless amount of money to contaminate, to bully, to continue to defraud the heirs to their Kuleana lands. And that, kako, we cannot stand. For Uncle Keomoku Kapu, the past is an understatement. We support, we urge OHA, we urge the Attorney General, we urge even Kamehameha Schools, which owns a part of the Mauna on the side of their Ahupua, to get involved to protect our rights, our national land, because we are a few left in the world. So Uncle Keomoku Kapu, we mahalo you for staying the course, but we want to smash on Kamehameha Schools and all those non-profits, non-profiteers who continue to send in their crisis actors to continue to bully, pillage our Hawaiian Kingdom heirs, after receiving their Kuleana lands via a court order. So there you guys have it for this week, Saturday, June 6th, Smash or Pass episode on Hawaiian Kingdom, Darkside of Hawaiian Politics. And now, for the wrap-up, we got
The Constitutional Oathbreaker Award of this week has to go out to all of the oppressors, genocide leaders, continuous injustice communicators, hate crimes. Injustice is my constitutional oathbreaker this year. Like, it's being addressed now across the United States, like it was addressed from World War II. We need injustice to be resolved immediately now in the Hawaiian Kingdom, Kako.
There you go, your shiny constitutional oath breaker, DJ Derbs, KP, lay them out.
My oath breaker would be the state of Hawaii, the illegal occupiers, also with the United States military government to actually waive military personnel coming into Hawaii, waiving them from actually having the COVID-19 process of 14 days quarantine. So if any military personnel comes to Hawaii, they don't have to go into the 14-day quarantine. And also their families. So if they have families also coming in to Hawaii to live here, they don't have to take the 14-day quarantine. But for us, the general population, we still have to follow this strict quarantine or not, we're going to have, committed a crime. And we have to pay, what, $5,000 fine? So to me, this is continued genocide on our population because of the COVID-19 situation. So I give both the fake state of Hawaii and the military
The
big smash.
constitutional oath breaker for this week.
Yeah.
As for me, the constitutional oath breaker of the week gotta go to Mufi Banana Hands Hanneman for trying to sneak back on the rail and trying to eat the green banana again.
Hey, not the quarterback
You know what I mean?
sneaker.
This is a quarterback sneak, Movie banana hands. It's either the green banana or the overripe. But this guy, he wants to get back on the train. He wants to get back on the track. Movie banana hands. We're going to put extra banana peels on that track so it doesn't get built and it will continue to just slip away as we see the columns break
Right.
every month,
Yeah.
throughout the months and over the years.
Yeah.
How it sleeps and it cracks and it shows the state of Hawaii and their mismanagement with the clearance of this.
Well, for him, he's all going to drop the ball.
We're going to drop the ball.
Banana hands.
Banana hands. So there you have it, constitutional oath breaker for this week for me. And now we move forward, DJ Derbs with the
Rapid aloha. So I got this.
Makahana Kaike.
Oh, makahana
Kaike.
ka'ike. So makahana ka'ike this week is to make it heard, make it known. Injustice. Support your candidates that support rooting out injustice for justice. So makahana ka'ike, do your homework, do your studies about the Hawaiian Kingdom true history so that we can properly move forward in tolerance to break the systemic cycles of racism, discrimination, injustice in the Hawaiian Kingdom that continues on Hawaiians. That's my makahana ka'ike.
KP, Makahana Kaike. Work, work, work.
For me, is that we need to educate ourselves on the injustice, on the 127 years of U.S. occupation because of discrimination, continued discrimination, not only against the Hawaiian people, but for all people. So we need to push back. When we see something, is being, doing something wrong, we need to actually capture it on film and to show, this is a continuation of the illegal occupation, and this is the end result of continued, injustice for all people living in Hawaii. So I encourage people to, get out there, push back. You see something wrong, just push back and maintain you're being heard.
Yes, Kako, Makahana Kaike. This week, if you are a voter, ask the hard question of your representative in your district, in your state, in your moku. Tell them, we demand justice. We demand our resource justice. We demand humanitarian justice. And we demand everything that is required for us to be successful and to thrive in this day and age in ko Hawaii pai aina. So makahana ka'ike out there. All your candidates, representatives, Congress, OHAs, if they ain't running for your injustice, then you shouldn't vote for them. And if they cannot commit to your injustice, then you cannot commit to them. And if you are a preacher and you are not preaching injustice, then don't preach. And if you're a teacher out there and you're not teaching injustice, then don't teach. Do us a favor. We don't want to be greenwashed, fairy tales, happy ending with cookies and ice cream at the end. Santa Claus is not alive, and this year, for Ku season, that's the makahana ka'ike, is to go out there, ask these hard questions, get the commitment from those representatives and those people in your community who petition to have your best interests. If they can't say injustice, they can't say the name of injustice, they won't regurgitate it, they don't give it time, then I suggest, Kako, you don't give them time. And that's just my manao. And there you have it for your Makahana Kaike this week from the National Crisis. And now, DJ Derbs.
I'm firing my rapid aloha to one person today. And that person, if you can show him on the screen, is Superintendent Dr. Christina Kishimoto. She says, unity, bold action needed to break the systemic cycle of racism, intolerance, discrimination. I ask us to unify to break the systemic cycle of racism, intolerance, and discrimination. This will take boldness and patience with one another, but also a locking of arms to say, no more, not again, not on our watch. Each of us within our own sphere of influence can make decisions about who has access to decision-making tables, supporting candidates who say injustice, who has voice, and how equity is made a core assumption of our practice, Kako. It is our kuleana to educate the next generation of the importance of equity, understanding, being informed, empowered civil discourse, and justice now, justice for Hawaiians now. That's my rapid aloha, firing to everyone to stop the institutional racism, institutional discrimination, classism, poverty, houselessness, inequality. Look at our basic human worth. Recognize us, hear us, listen to us. Root out these systemic, negative, aue no ho'i e. That's my rapid aloha. Mahalo, Dr. Christina Kishimoto.
KP.
All right.
Olympics, time, date.
All right. So give out a shout out to Kanaka Kava, our sponsor, with their location in the Coconut Grove in Kona, and also you can get some ava at their farm or in Hilo. So if you need more information, you can contact Kanaka Kava on Facebook or Instagram.
Rapid aloha. Once again, I know we haven't touched out too much, but our deepest aloha to the graduating class of 2020 out there. We have our state champs out there, our Hilo High football team. We have our high competitive sports teams that did great this year. And we just, as much as we talk politics for this rapid aloha, for you guys during this pandemic and how you guys are going through of it, we must malama our keiki, get them out to the best education if possible, but if not, let's be proactive to how we can get our Kanakas and our kikis to stay home and start these agro businesses to help sustain and move our lahui in a more economical position. So there you guys have it. Rapid aloha. Thank you for our gear. He Hawaiiao, Homestead, Hawaiian Kingdom Air. Check them out. Your roll call, Hawaiian Kingdom Census. Go ahead, check your name, check out your report. And also, once again, check out Uncle Keamoku Kapu's videos to follow up on the violations. And one more, our titas on Maui Nui Akama. Go ahead and check out their feed and their link for their continuously violations that they have shared with our lahui just recently. There's a lot of extensive substance they're speaking about. You might have to watch it 2 or 3 times, but go ahead, learn more about what's the struggles with our kuleana and our Hawaiian nationals out there through Uncle Keamoku Kapu, and go ahead and support our titas out there to learn more if you don't. And to wrap it up, this week, Saturday, June 6th, Hawaiian Kingdom, Darkside of Hawaiian Politics, National Crisis.
Before we sign off, I'd just like to tell you, folks, mahalo for tuning in every Saturdays. This is a special episode 30. And I hope you guys continue to tune in to us as we expose the dark side of Hawaiian politics.
This is DJ Derbs. Don't only tune into us, but share the injustice. When we get it out there, that's when we'll start addressing it. Remember what Dr. Kishimoto said. Unity in injustice needs to end now.
Justice delayed is justice denied.
We be living in tents and white and night. Where is it now? Where did it go? Where has it gone? I wanna know. Where is it now? Where did it go? It's not America, and now you know.
Let me see. Tell me where it's gone. Where is your treaty? Everything you own, you must have receipts. Without jurisdiction, please release me. Officer, release me. Release me freely to the lands I have been promised. To peaks of mountains, onto leaves upon the forest. Through streams in valleys and through reefs of the ocean. My paperwork is here, but were you ever looking for it?
Where is it now? Where did it go? Where has it gone? I wanna know.
Ho'ola'aina, a prayer for the healing of the earth. Eke akua, e pule ia e holoi anei ka po ino ka aina. A me ka pale a e I pauko ka aina haumia. He pule ia e ho'opauana I nā he wau ka aina a pau. I pau ka e me ke kāwau. I pau ke koropia a me ka paluluka. I pau ka hulia lana. Lailani ho peku, ho emu, hui kala, malapakai, ka mauli ho I he aku ai.